Hi everybody. I have got a really sort of croaky in and out voice, so I really apologise about that. But there's really not much I can do. And I am also recording this at home because of Storm Eunice. So again, if I get interrupted by various members of my family, I apologise. Such is life when you can't be at college because of a storm. Anyway, this video is designed to help you with your fieldwork write-up for Exeter, and it's mainly for the benefit of those people who can't have a lesson because they can't go to college because of the storm, or potentially those people who didn't come on the trip. It might help you out a little bit as well. So first things first, you should have a booklet. If you don't have a physical copy of that, your teacher can give you an e-copy of that. So get in touch with your teacher for a copy of the booklet. And you should also have an A3 map. Again, if you don't have a copy, your teacher can give you a copy of that. So it'll be very tricky for you to do the write-up without those two things, okay? So that's your first job, is to get hold of this booklet. It's got 15 pages in it and an A3 map of Exeter with some dots on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the write-up. So I'm not doing the whole field trip, I'm just talking you through the write-up. And the most useful page, if I'm honest with you, is right at the back. All right, so this is the page for your write-up instructions. Just a reminder, the point of doing this is that we are trying to prepare you for your independent coursework. You do 3 field trips, and each time you do a little bit more of the write-up, so that by the time you get to your independent coursework, you know what you need to do. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk you through what should be in each of the sections. So there is information on page 15, but I'm going to try and bring page 15 to life a little bit, make it a little bit more straightforward for you. Okay, so I'm going to flit between this and a PowerPoint, which again, your teacher can give you access to. Okay, so the first thing that you need is you literally just copy the aim and hypotheses, okay, and you'll find them in your booklet. So aim and hypotheses, copy from page 1, it's worth 2 marks, and sorry if this makes you feel a bit seasick, go back to the very first page, there's the aim, there's the hypotheses, literally copy them out, all right, so that's nice and easy. Then you've got your theory and location section. Now, we've given you this information, particularly if you came on the field trip with us. You should know this from the morning session. It's also on pages 2 and 3 of the booklet, but you need to put this into your own words. The theory is the geographical idea behind the project. Our project is all about, sorry it's a bit flicky, to compare the characteristics of rebranded and non-rebranded parts of Exeter's CBD. So a CBD is a central business district. It's where you find all the shops and offices. And what you will learn about in Changing Places is that CBDs really started to struggle originally from the 1970s onwards actually, but particularly from the 1990s. And that's because people's shopping habits changed. People started going to shopping malls like Cribbs Causeway in Bristol. People increasingly are shopping online. We're just shopping in very different ways. And what that led to was problems in CBDs. People weren't going there. There were lots of empty and vacant shops. There were lots of problems, litter. Everything was kind of going a bit wrong. And in geography, we call that the spiral of decline or the negative multiplier effect. And usually what we learn in geography is when we've got a problem, we then try to do something about it. We have some kind of response or some kind of management. And what we do is it's called urban rebranding, and you'll learn about it a lot more in lessons, but it's an attempt to essentially create jobs and get people back into the CBD spending their money. All right, 2 parts of Exeter CBD, Princess Hay, which is area 1 on your map, and Guildhall, which is area 5 on your map, they have been rebranded. The other 4 areas have not. So the entire write-up, the whole point of it is to try and discover whether areas 1 and 5 are doing better than the other 4 areas, okay? And that's the theory that you sort of need to sum up for the geographical theory. The location obviously is Exeter, so we just want a little bit of information about where is Exeter and that sort of thing. So if I go back to here, look, it's out of 8 marks, and here is some general advice about the kinds of things that you would do. All right, doesn't need to be as long as it is in the fieldwork booklet. There's more in the booklet because this is also going to be a case study for your Changing Places module, but for the point of the coursework, what I've just told you is enough. Okay, next section then. This will be the hardest, well, one of the hardest sections if you didn't come on the trip. Risks and ethics. So if you came with us on the day, you will have taken notes on page 14. So if you didn't come, you're going to have to work a little bit harder at this, all right? Risks and ethics are out of 10 marks. It's roughly 50-50, so roughly 5 marks for risks and 5 marks for ethics. What it tells you in the booklet, on page 14, look, risks are associated with any fieldwork, and risks are things that could go wrong for you when you're collecting your data. How could you be hurt? How could you be injured? And I know you are all very capable, sensible, mature teenagers. So if it helps, think of a 10-year-old. What could go wrong for a 10-year-old? Think about crossing the road. Think about the general public. Think about the weather. It's all that kind of stuff, okay? It's pretty simple, but it's really, really important to think about risks before you go out and collect data because you don't want it going wrong. Okay, so you can set it out as a table, most people do, and in the left-hand column you kind of have things that could go wrong, and in the right-hand column you have things you're going to do about it to try and make sure you minimise the chance. Ethics are different. Ethics is about the impact you could have on other things. So it's things like trying not to get in people's way, trying not to include people in photographs if you're taking photographs, being respectful of other people's personal space, following any COVID guidelines. It's that sort of thing, all right? So as I said, those 2 sections together are out of 10. It will be easier if you came on the trip. Right, method. Method is how did you collect your data? It's on page 4 of the booklet. You can put it in any style you want. If you take sciences, you probably know that they're very particular about how you write a method. Geography isn't really. We are most interested in the detail that you put, but see the method as a set of instructions. How did you collect the data? Again, this will be quite tricky if you didn't come on the trip, but it is on page 4 and you can have a go, can't you? The sampling bit, we're going to worry about sampling much more for our 3rd field trip later in the year. But if you could just at least refer to stratified sampling, if you've never heard of that, your teacher can talk you through it, or you can do a bit of internet research. Just try to cover it. That would be really good if you could. Right, the data. So you've done this. All we're looking for in the write-up is a table of results. But this has caused, as we know from lessons, quite a lot of confusion. So this is the A3 map. You can see, look, there are 6 zones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Area 1 is Princess Hay, rebranded. Area 5 is Guildhall, rebranded. 2, 3, 4, 6 are not. Okay? Right. Now this is where it goes wrong, and this is where you need to speak to other people very nicely to make sure you get a full set of data. So you were in groups. You were supposed to do 3 areas per group, and in each area you were supposed to do 1 clone town survey, 6 environmental qualities at the dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in area 2 you would do 6 environmental qualities, you would do 6 pedestrian counts in the same places, and then you would take photos. Now that hasn't always happened, but you can liaise with your teacher about exactly how you get around that issue, but you should in total have this amount of data. So you should end up with 1 clone town survey per area, 36 environmental quality surveys, because 6 sixes are 36, and if you have 6 environmental qualities in each of the 6 areas, you are going to have 36. Ditto pedestrian counts. If you haven't got 36 photos, I'm not going to lose sleep about that. As long as you've got 1 or 2 per area, that'd be great. Now, as I'm making this video, they're not uploaded, but Bryony took a digital camera and we'll be uploading those. So if you don't have photos, we should have access to those pretty soon. Okay, so ideally, your table of data is going to have all of those things in it. You need to somehow speak to other people very nicely if you don't quite have enough data. Talk to your teacher if you didn't go on the trip. Okay, and then you'll include a table of results. That's just a very simple one I did very quickly to give you an idea, but you set out the table of data however you want to. Okay, now this is the big money bit. This is where most of the work and most of the marks are. Data presentation, analysis and interpretation. And the detailed instructions, look, are here. I've divided them up by hypothesis, what I want you to do. So the detail is all in here. The PowerPoint has got a little bit of information about the marks, and it's got some visualizations of what we're looking for. Okay, so I suggest you use this video and the booklet together to sort of point you in the right direction. For hypothesis number 1, the first thing that you have to do is you have to calculate a mean environmental quality survey. Remember, you're meant to have 6, so you add them up, divide by 6, and you will have a mean environmental quality score for each of the zones. Okay, then job number 2 is a box and whisker, or a box plot. You can do them vertically like this, you can do them horizontally, I'm really not bothered. But instead of the days of the week, what you would have down here is area 1, area 2, area 3, area 4, area 5, area 6. And then on the y-axis, you would have the environmental quality score, okay? And what that will allow you to do is it will allow you to see whether some zones had really mixed environmental quality. So the further these whiskers are spread apart, the more different your numbers are. So you can see here, the highest number is 9 and the lowest is 4. Whereas if we take here, there's a much smaller gap between 7 and 4. So box plots are designed to show you how spread out your data is, as well as the fact that this one is the highest average and I think that one is the lowest average. So you can get quite a lot of information from a box plot. I have said in the booklet, you are very welcome to draw your box and whisker by hand, excuse me, or if you are happy with Excel, you do that. We do not mind which way you do it, just do us a box and whisker, please. Okay, and then third and final job for hypothesis 1, before the writing, of course, but the final job in terms of actually doing stuff with data is to annotate a photograph. This is not a photograph of Exeter. This is what an annotated photograph looks like. And you are going to have 1 photograph per area, and you're going to annotate it with why it kind of got the score that it did. So why is it a really nice place, or why isn't it a really nice place? Look for things like litter. Think for dereliction, like broken windows, graffiti. Look for the quality of the buildings and things like that. Okay, so hypothesis 1 is means, box and whisker, annotated photos, and then you do the writing. If I can just remind you, look, the presentation is anything visual, so that would be the box and whisker. The analysis would be the mean, and it would be the annotation. And then you're going to write about it. What does it tell you? And when you're writing about it, I've given you some clues. Describe and explain the results for each section and then for the whole of the CBD. Is there a difference? Remember, we're trying to decide for hypothesis 1, is the environmental quality better in the rebranded parts, which are areas 1 and 5? Or is it the same? So all of the writing is going to be kind of linking back to that idea. Hypothesis 2 is a scatter graph. And a scatter graph is a graph that looks like that. I'm making a video for my students. I'm on YouTube. Sorry, students. So a scatter graph is a graph that looks like this, okay? And again, you can do it by hand or you can do it on Excel or whatever, we really don't mind. But instead of years and local index, whatever that is, this axis, the horizontal one, the x-axis, is going to be environmental quality, and the y-axis is going to be pedestrian count. Because what we think is there's going to be a relationship between environmental quality and pedestrian count. And I am predicting, possibly wrongly, that it should show a positive line. Surely, the nicer parts of Exeter are going to be busier. There's going to be more people in the nice bits of Exeter. That's what I mean by that prediction. And it sort of logically makes sense. So I would love to see a nice positive correlation like you can see on this scatter graph. Whether we're going to get that or not a clue. But that's why we're doing a scatter graph. And that, of course, is a line of best fit. You might be able to draw a line of best fit. It might all be a mess. But what it says, look, in the instructions for hypothesis 2, what I'd really like, and I have put the word ideally, because if you can't do it or it all goes wrong, it's not the end of the world, but I'd really like it if you could use 6 different colours or symbols, so each of the areas of Exeter. And I've just found an example that tries to show that for you. This is literally nothing to do with geography. This is physics, it looks like. So they've got 3 different groups of data, red, green and blue. And it would be lovely if, say, area 1 could have red dots, area 2 could have green, area 3 could have blue, and so on and so forth. It's not the end of the world if you can't, but it would be great if you can. Okay, so that's your scatter graph, by hand or on Excel, whatever's easier for you. Then exactly the same data. So you're going to have 36 environmental qualities and 36 pedestrian counts. Ideally, if you haven't got that amount of data, talk to your teacher, okay, and they'll come up with a plan. And you are going to use exactly the same data to do a Spearmans, but I have good news. You do not necessarily have to do the Spearmans Rank yourself. Haha, good news, folks. I've given you 3 options. If you are a confident user of Excel, the command to make Excel do a Spearmans Rank is Correl, C-O-R-R-E-L. If I might as well be speaking in a different language to you right now, don't do that. If you go onto any search engine and type in Spearmans Rank calculator, there are plenty to choose from. So you could use that. Or if you would like the challenge, this will talk you through what to do. All right, the method and everything. But you don't necessarily have to do that. You can get Excel to do it for you, you can use an online calculator, or you can do it yourself. The bit that I personally am most interested in is, what does the Spearmans Rank tell you? And that is where these critical values come in. I've given you the critical values for 36 pairs because that's what I was hoping for. If you don't have 36 pairs of data, then you're going to have to find the critical values yourself, or you're going to have to ask your teacher, okay? Now, what you want with Spearmans Rank is you want your result to be higher than these numbers. It doesn't matter if it's a minus number. That means it's a negative relationship. As one thing goes up, the other goes down, which would be weird. That would mean the higher the environmental quality, the lower the pedestrian count. It's entirely possible that you find that, but it would be a bit weird. A positive number, or a number without a minus sign, would mean as the environmental quality goes up, so does the pedestrian count. So that would make more sense, but we'll see. Anyway, when you're comparing with the critical values, the minus sign is not important. It's the value of the number. If your result is higher than 0.3063, you are 95% sure that there is a relationship between environmental quality and pedestrian count. Great. If, by some miracle, your result is higher than 0.4251, you are 99% sure that there is a relationship. Now, 99% certainty is better than 95, but we'll take either. If your number is lower than 0.3063, there is no relationship between environmental quality and pedestrian count. And that's why they're called critical values, because it either tells you that there is a relationship or there isn't. It's that kind of clear cut. Okay, now your teacher can support you with that, but that's hypothesis 2. Hypothesis 3 should be the easiest, because you did both of these techniques for your first fieldwork. You did a divided bar of litter types and you did pie charts. So the divided bar, the height of the bar will be the number of shops that were included in each clone town survey. It should, for each bar, be around 50, because you're supposed to do a clone town on 50 shops. And on page 4 of your module, there is the method for a clone town, and it says, look, to do the survey, you simply need to walk along the street and record the first 50 shops you pass. And what you do is you fill in these tables, i.e. the height of each bar should be about 50. It might be slightly different, but it should be about that. And then you're going to divide the bar up into these sections. And it could get quite colourful. It'd be like the Hewish stripe by the time we're finished. But if there are any that you didn't find any kind of evidence of, then I suppose you could just discount it, just not include it at all. But that's what the colours will mean. It will be the different types of shop and service. And then the pie charts, you will only have 2 colours on your pie chart. You'll have one for chain and one for independent. But you'll have a pie chart for each of the 6 areas. So that should, hopefully, be quite straightforward, okay? So it's divided bar and pie, both of which you had to do for your first field work. Finally, hypothesis 4, you have to just calculate the clone towns and talk about them. So there's not a lot to do for hypothesis 4. Here is the example. So how to calculate the score is at the bottom of page 4. Follow the simple steps below to calculate your town score, and there's a worked example that you can see in that box, and I've given you space to do that here. All right, so that's all you have to do for hypothesis 4. Then, of course, you need to do all the writing-y bits, and that's that done. That will take you the most time and effort, absolutely, for sure. All right, definitely. So we talked about that, and then you're on the home straight, folks. Conclusion is short. Absolutely, definitely no more than half a side. Like, should probably be more like a quarter to a third. It's only worth 6 marks. Use the marks to give you a sense of how much to write. And I've told you what to do. Did you prove or disprove each hypothesis, and just summarise your key results. Finally, an evaluation. Notice it's 25 marks. That's a quarter of the total, so it's worth doing well. It needs to be at least a side, and you ask yourself 3 questions repeatedly. What was good? What wasn't? How could it be improved? Now, we have already discovered some holes, shall we say, in our data collection. You need to be very honest in the evaluation about what you did well and what maybe you didn't. Did you guess if it was a chain store or an independent? That's not great, is it? Were some shops really hard to kind of put into a category? So if I show you the clone town thing, was it actually really hard to work out which of these a shop went into, maybe? When you're doing the environmental quality, it's very based on your opinion, isn't it? And you didn't measure all 36 dots yourself. So are we comparing data that we shouldn't really be comparing because we're comparing people's different opinions? Anyway, I'm giving you far too many clues. But the evaluation is definitely worth thinking about. And be honest, you know, I don't want anyone writing, if I did it again, I would, you know, do much more work, because we're at A-level now. It needs to be a bit more thorough than that. But if you have realised in hindsight that you did get it all a bit wrong, then yeah, that might be why your data doesn't make any sense and it doesn't do anything. Okay, so use the PowerPoint, use this video, use the fieldwork booklet, particularly page 15, and your teacher will tell you the deadline for this, I'm sure. Obviously, you can get some help from them if needs be. Good luck with it. Good luck.